expert in hospice. In fact, when I have the opportunity to go to some of these events and share my story, it's always like, well, you work for hospice? Why are you here? And that actually had a lot to do with my weight loss and transformation. Serving as a palliative care chaplain and now a hospice chaplain for 4 years with Lourdes Hospice, seeing what chronic illness does, seeing what the end of life looks like, literally, regardless of age, it's an eye-opener. I see it every day. This is therapeutic for me to be able to be in a group of people that are dealing with wellness and not death and dying. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. So this is a blurry me before and after. I didn't think it could look worse, but since it's blurred, it does. So, I have lost 113 pounds and 17 inches and have maintained that slowly over the course of 3 years. My weight loss journey, the actual weight loss journey in and of itself, began when I was at Lourdes Hospice as a palliative care chaplain. The Mercy Health out of Cincinnati provides for us what's called the Be Well Within platform. And it actually was the wellness platform and the incentives that were available that just were there at the right time. The individual coaching, the group coaching, the Naturally Slim, all of those aspects on that platform had a lot to do with me being able to lose this weight. It had a lot to do. Seeing what I saw on a daily basis with chronic illness and diabetes and end of life had a lot to do with my ability to lose weight. But before I could lose that weight, now I have to say, I have lost and gained weight my entire life. My poor mother, I was 10.5 pounds when I came out. The rest was my fault. But I've struggled with weight my entire life. I've been up and down in weight on various diets. You name the diet, I've probably been on it and have lost weight. Like many of us who know the merry-go-round and the yo-yo of losing weight and gaining it back, and we've seen those slides as well. We know that rat race, if you will. We know what that is to lose weight, and you've heard it said before many times, and I believe it's true, that losing weight is maybe not the difficult point, but it's the keeping the weight off. And so when people ask me, and people ask me all the time, well, how did you lose that weight? What's the secret? That's the one I like the most. What's the secret? You know, what's the next best thing? Is it this diet? Is it that diet? And so I have a couple of short answers to that, which I will eventually get to. But, you know, kind of down the hallway, oh, how did you lose that weight? And what are you doing to keep that off? If I could direct them to a website or to a diet or to a pill or a potion or whatever, then that's really what the fat mindset wants. We want the quick answer, we want the solution, and we want it now. When I say I made a lifestyle change, I usually get the, oh, okay. Good for you. Glad that's working for you. I'll ask the next person who's lost a ton of weight and what they're doing. So in terms of diets and yo-yo and so on and so forth, I know all about that. I know all about losing weight. I know all about gaining it back and the struggle, because it really is a struggle. So the things that I did to lose weight that were provided for me through the Be Well Within platform and Naturally Slim and other things is really the second part of my story, the second part of why I was able to lose weight and keep it off. Because in hindsight, I realized that I had to shed the weight inside before I could shed the weight outside. Before I could lose weight and keep that weight off, I had to deal with internal weights that were weighing me down. In fact, I say and I fully believe that those internal weights that I carried in my heart for years kept me fat. Because for me, being fat and being stupid coincided with one another. See, that's what I always believed about myself. I always believed that I was stupid. I always believed that I was stupid and that everybody that knew me knew that I was stupid. I was just surrounded by a lot of people who loved me in spite of it, is how I looked at it. I didn't grow up with anybody in my family, in my home, telling me that I was stupid or some kind of a low-class person. I grew up in a Christian home with loving parents and grandparents and a great support system in and outside of the church. But it was the playground that was my battleground, where I heard back and forth the connection of being fat and stupid. Nobody ever said, "Boy, you sure are a good-looking stupid guy." That's not really what we hear. It's the opposite. And so I grew up believing that I was stupid. And there's that. Did get to use that pointer. I did believe I was stupid. And everything that I did in life, I'm a chaplain, I'm a minister. Every Sunday school lesson that I taught, every sermon that I preached, every counseling session that I did was always with me pulling these chains, these weights behind me. In fact, I would find myself more often than not using those very weights to propel me forward to be able to accomplish what I needed to accomplish. Because it's very difficult to help other people in their life when you believe about yourself that you're stupid. And when I realized that this weight that I was carrying inside of me for so long was the weight and the burden that kept me tied down. It kept me from realizing my full potential. It kept me from being all that God had called me to be. When I realized that I wasn't stupid and that I never was, and I could unburden myself of those weights that tied me down and shackled me down. And so here's the scale with the chain, because that's an image for me that makes sense for my life. I wasn't chained to the scale so much as I was chained to the fact, and I was chained to the internal weight that I carried in and around me all my life. And so a chaplain, a professional chaplain, of which I am, a board-certified chaplain, goes through what's called clinical pastoral education. And CPE was the tool that dug inside of me to help me realize that I'm not stupid. And that I've been living with these weights inside of me all my life. So as it turned out, guess what? Every time I would lose weight and put it back on, and lose weight again, we could fill up the whole auditorium with before and after pictures of me. Of before and after and before and after. And the things that I learned about eating, the lifestyle change, the things that I learned about eating were significant. But when I learned more about me and why I was eating the way I was eating, it wasn't just why I was eating, but what was eating me. And so I used food as a coping mechanism to deal with my internal pain. I don't know how that works. I don't have data. I have a hard time understanding some of the data because I don't work in that area. Like I said, I deal with death and dying and end of life every day. So I don't look at data. That's not my thing. But I do know that there was a weight, and in order for me to lose, once I lost that internal weight and knew that I was not stupid, and I remember the day as clear as I can. I remember the day standing in the mirror in a vacant room in the hospital where I was doing my chaplain residency, having a conversation with myself, looking at my fat self in the mirror. And I had just realized, I had just learned that I wasn't stupid. And I was trying to get adjusted to what life was going to look like. Living life without that chain and weighing me down. And it clicked. If you're not, as I said to myself, not you, but as I said to myself in the mirror, if you're not stupid, then it's time to lose the stupid suit. And for me, fat was my stupid suit. Being fat correlated with being stupid. And when I talk about shedding the internal weight, dealing with those things that chained me down and lies that I believed about myself, and the thing is, folks, every one of us have them. In your position that I don't fully understand, no more than you can imagine what I do every day, in your position and the things that you do, you have your own struggles. You have your own internal weights that you deal with. You use something to cope with that. For me, it was food. For me, it was the abuse of food. But when I was able to shed the internal weight, then I was free to shed the external weight. And it was at that point, as chaplain at Mercy Health in Paducah, Lourdes Hospital, that the Be Well Within platform was there, all of the components of it, and learning how to shed that stupid suit, which was fat. Those are my changes. Those are the things that happened in my life. And I'm honored to be able to share that with you. I hope something resonates. I hope that you can walk away with saying, here's something I can do. I can go back to my employer and I can say we need to help people identify internal struggles and food as a coping mechanism and whatever it might be. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. God bless you.